Good evening, good people. Evolve Benton here, the Speaking for Profit coach. And today we are talking about speaking fees, how to determine what you should charge. Welcome to the space. If you're listening now, just put hashtag live in the comments. If you're listening in the near and dear future, put hashtag replay. So, as you all know, I love to start our conversation off with wins. I always think that getting in the momentum of wins and winning and the momentum of what is going well is always a beautiful thing to do. So, one of the wins that I want to highlight, I always highlight a personal win and then, of course, a client win, right? Because we do want to have an opportunity to acknowledge the amazing work that's being done by folks in S4P University. So, one personal win of the week is that I'm still here, y'all. Like, I'm just going to give it to you. That is a personal win. Still here, still showing up, still taking care of myself, still valuing myself enough to make some decisions that move me out of environments that might not serve me. So, one of my wins is that I am still here, and a couple of client wins I want to shout out. I want to shout out Dr. Christine Coleman, one of my amazing clients that I have been working with for about a year now, who just launched her first coaching program called Women of Color Thriving and is really taking the steps to create space for women of color to build wellness, well-being skills, but also the true skills to take care of themselves. And to build relationships with people that change the world. So I'm really excited about her launch and the opportunity for her to grow. Um, hey, Tyran. Hey. Welcome to the space. I see some folks are coming on. Thank you for being here. So yeah, shouts out to Dr. Christine Coleman for doing that great work. And then I want to shout out another one of my clients. I do not want to say their name because, we're all about consent at Speaking for Profit. And this person did not give me consent to say their name. But one of my clients is working on a 5-figure proposal for a major tech company. And what's really exciting about this proposal is, yes, they'll be doing some amazing speaking and delivering some great content, but they're going to get paid an amazing level. And the topic that they're speaking about, I know, is going to transform the tech industry. So it's really exciting. And I'm just really proud of them. This is a client who started off not really knowing how to charge or what they wanted to charge or that they could even charge anything for speaking. So this is the reason I want to bring their story into the space, because it really does sit with the particular topic that we're speaking about today. So thank you all for being here. I see some folks saying that they made it. You made it. I appreciate it. Baron says, love your work. I appreciate the love and thank you so much. SC is saying thank you. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. And I'm really excited about this topic because I get this question all the time, right? Like, Evolve, I want to speak. I want to consult. I'm doing the work. I've done the work in my past life. I've done the work in school. How do I get paid? Right? How do I get paid? Right? And how do I determine my price, which is the ultimate goal? And what I really want to talk to you all about a little bit before we get into the presentation is a little bit of a mindset shift, right? Because I'm going to give you some tools. I'm going to give you some calculations on how you can think about your pricing, but the foundation of the way that you charge and what you think about your pricing and how much value is connected to your own mindset around yourself, right? Really, how you feel about yourself and your work and your confidence around it. So, pick topics and problems to solve that are really simple for you. So that when you go into the room where it happens and you have to deliver a speech or a training or a consultation, you're delivering it with as much confidence as possible so that when it comes down to charging, you are thinking beyond. You are not limited. You're not feeling like an imposter. You're not feeling like you don't belong. What I see is that oftentimes people will pick topics or jobs that aren't for them, that they can't do, and they want to talk about these topics, and then they're uncomfortable and they feel incompetent or they don't do really well, they don't over deliver, people don't call them back, and they're upset when they can't go up in their price, right? We can't go up in our price if we are not speaking with integrity and speaking with a true definition of who we are and our authenticity. So we've got to get past our imposter mindset before we can really step into really charging. Because a lot of times, if we are feeling like an imposter, what's attached to being an imposter? Often scarcity, right? The scarcity that you don't have enough, that they don't have enough, that the organization that you're speaking to that doesn't have enough, that your topic is not going to be as good. So you can't charge them the amount that you think that you should be able to. And when that scarcity comes in, that's when people come to me and they say, Evolve, I've been speaking for free, but I'm not taking care of my family. Or Evolve, I've been speaking for a discount, or I've been speaking for barter. Whatever it may be, when you are not connecting your true value to that cost, you're doing a disservice to yourself, you're doing a disservice to your family, and you're doing a disservice to your business. Right. So I'm getting kind of serious with you all because the amount that we charge, it doesn't just impact us, it impacts the marketplace. And I'm in a lot of conversations because I'm a diversity, equity, inclusion educator and consultant, and I do speak. I speak. I'm not just a coach; I speak as well. And I'm in conversations with organizations, and often even organizations are confused on the pricing. And I think that's because you have some people going into the room with scarcity, not charging enough. So I'm going to get into this presentation, and I'm excited to share with you. But one of the questions that I got from you all before I even launched this was, Evolve, how do I know if I'm not charging enough or if I'm charging too much? And the one thing I want you to think about, instead of thinking about if you're charging too much, think about if you're not charging enough. Because oftentimes when we go into spaces and we say $500, $600, these really low ranges for topics that have integrity and really have an educational backing, when you should be asking for 10, 15, $20,000, that moves you out of the room where it happens because you're in a room with an expert and they're looking at you like you're really going to charge $500 to do this labor when they know that that labor is definitely more than that. And oftentimes they'll say no. And it's not no because they don't have the money. It's no because they know that you do not realize the scope of the work. Right. Okay. So enough of me, speaking a little bit about the mindset. Let's get into the presentation, right? How to determine what you charge as a high paid speaker. If you're still with me and you're still listening, just put the word speak into the comments so that I can know that you're here in the building. So the first thing that we want to think about when we are thinking about what are we going to speak about are these three questions, right? What problem do you solve? What problem do you solve? And a lot of times it's like, what topics? What topics do I speak about? But essentially, we're solving problems. And I'm going to give you an example of my own personal experience. But what problem are you solving for that organization? The second question is, what industry do you want to impact? Right? Do you want to impact the healthcare industry? I know some folks who in the military army, the defense industry. Is it that you want to impact universities, athletics? What industry are you trying to impact? And what is your money bag prophecy? Right? And our money bag prophecy is how much money we need to thrive a month or annually that's going to put us in a position to be able to feel fulfilled, take care of our families, and over deliver. Right. So that's the first thing that I always do. I ask myself those three questions, and I would suggest that you write those down and do some reflection on that if you haven't yet. Not just a speaking topic, but what is your offer? What are you offering, and how are you going to be an active service? So, an example of that, right? What problem do I solve? For me, I help organizations create and sustain an inclusive environment for diverse people, right? And most of the time, that's LGBT folks, Black folks, queer folks, folks with different abilities. It's a range, but that's essentially what I'm here to do. And I'm here to help organizations retain their diverse talent, right? The last 5 to 10 years, everyone wanted to be diverse. They want a diverse workforce. But what does inclusion really look like, right? That's where I come in and I fill the gap. And what industries do I want to impact, right? Who do I really care about working with right now? I care about the financial technology companies, right? Because I know that when we think about blockchain and Bitcoin and all the ways that money is growing and moving, being a part of that conversation and making sure that people who look like me are a part of it or is important. And then I always want to be a part of the healthcare organizations. And the reason I'm so connected to wanting to impact healthcare is because my mother was a registered nurse, but also I realized the space that folks who look like me and folks who show up in healthcare facilities like me don't get access to. So if I can go in and talk to some doctors and talk to some registered nurses and talk to some clinicians about how they can create more space, I feel like that's going to impact my experience and the people that I love, trust, and value. Right. So those are the industries that I want to impact. And then what's my money back prophecy? I want to make at least 10K a month. Right. Let's say that's what it is for today. It might change. Maybe it goes up to 20K tomorrow. Right. But we're going to start there. So I know what problem I'm solving. I know what industry I'm impacting, and I know what money that I need, right? And we have an exercise in S4P where we ask you all, our members, if you become a member, to do a money back prophecy, right? Because sometimes we base our annual income off of what we've experienced in the past. So we're basing our future off of history when we need to base it off of how we want to thrive, right? So we have an activity to get you really thinking, something that's tactile that you can put together so you can know how much money you want to make. But for now, let's just say you just think to yourself, how much money would it be great to have a month for you to have less stress and more opportunities to spend with your friends, family, and loved ones. So once we answer those three questions, right, then we want to look at our capacity calculator. And this is so important. This is something that a lot of other coaches will not teach you about. There's a lot of folks out there just saying, go speak, go make money, go speak, go make money. But no one's talking about burnout. No one's talking about how to do this in a sustainable way so that you continue to enjoy it and continue to be able to impact the world. So I don't want you to just say, I want to speak this and make this money. So I'm gonna speak 10 times because I gotta make $10,000, right? So that means I gotta charge $1,000. I'm gonna speak 10 times a month and I'm gonna be burnt out and tired. No, what's your capacity? So I want to speak, consult 4 times. That's going to be the example. That's my capacity. I got 1 time a week, 4 times a month that I want to speak, and my money back prophecy is $10,000. So, what you're going to do, right? You're going to multiply your money back prophecy, well, not multiply, divide your money back prophecy by the time you want to speak, right? And we go into that in this next slide so that you can see what I mean by that. So you're looking at your capacity. You got 4 times, right? So 10,000 multiplied by 4, right? Means that our price is 2,500. That is the amount that we can charge. And when I say this 2,500, that's the low, right? Because if we don't hit the 2,500, then that means we're not hitting our actual goal, which is 10K. So maybe you're thinking to yourself, I can charge 1,000 to 2,500. No, 2,500 is your low. That's the lowest that you can go. So when you're in a negotiation with a company, you know that that's the lowest you can go to actually hit your goal without going over your capacity. Now, there's some times in our speaking business, and we'll get into some slides about that in a moment, where you might be a beginner, right? You might be just getting started. So you might want to do a few speaking engagements for maybe $1,000, $1,500, right? To get your feet wet, to get some confidence, to get some testimonials, right? Because what really sells an opportunity and an offer is social proof. People want to see that you've connected with other audiences and that you've impacted them. So maybe you do that in the beginning, but once you've done that and you've established yourself, then you really have to focus on your capacity because you don't want to burn yourself out. Right. So 2,500 would be your low. That's the lowest that you can go as far as speaking for an organization. And many folks get to me and like, how long? Is that for an hour? Is that for 2 hours? Go back to your capacity calculator. Are you saying you want to speak 4 times a month and you want to speak for an hour, 90 minutes, 30 minutes? What is your capacity? Because we've seen different ranges for different speakers. I have folks in my program that I work with who went in and spoke for 15 minutes and they've made $1,000. I've went in and spoke for 30 minutes and made $3,000. So it's not really about the time as much as like time impact that you're bringing into the space, you solving a problem, you shortening time for an organization. Maybe you can bring in a perspective that would take an organization 5 years to get to, and you're going to get them there in an hour. Right. So we really don't want to look at it as that kind of exchange. We really want to look at it as far as our capacity and how much money we need to make so that we can thrive. So once we've looked at our capacity calculator, that's how I come up with my pricing, right? I determine it by what is the life I want to live and what is the capacity of time that I have to speak. So I want to share with you a pro tip, right? Always ask for double for higher negotiations. Always ask for double. So if you're in the same place that I'm in today and you're saying, Evolve, I want to make $10,000. I only want to speak once a week, 4 times a month. 2,500 is my low. Then that means when you go into organizations, you need to ask probably for five. And the reason I say this is because I'm all about you building a profitable and a sustainable business, which means that I want you to make more money often and rest even more. So if you go in and you ask for five and they give you five and your bottom line was 2,500, that means that maybe you only have to speak twice that month. And that's great. That means that you have more capacity to speak and to cherish time with others at a later date. So ask for more so that you can get more, but also ask for more because within negotiation, a lot of times once you're at the point in a contractual agreement where organization is asking you about pricing, they're very much interested in bringing you in at that point, right? They're asking you about the price. So if you're able to say 5,000 and maybe they don't have it, most people aren't going to come down below half. Most people don't want to be disrespectful in that way, right? So they're not going to ask you if you ask for 5,000 to speak for $1,000, right? Probably going to meet you in the middle. So it gives you an opportunity to have strength in your negotiations when you do that. So if I can get past anything to you today, right? I would say always ask for double. Double up, right? As Nipsey Hussle used to say, double up 3 or 4 times if you need to, right? So that you can have an opportunity to speak, over deliver, and get paid because your speaking fee is very similar to your salary, right? Because I see many people on here. We've been friends for a while on LinkedIn, maybe on YouTube, on Facebook, and you get paid maybe whatever, 60, 100, $200,000 a year. No one's going to lower your salary. You're not going to go into an organization and you're not going to say how much you've been paid. So once you've been paid four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, $10,000 as a speaker, that's your rate, right? So you feel more confident and comfortable with it. So that's one of the pro tips that I'll give you in regards to that. The other thing is that you must over deliver to grow your influence and get paid. You must over deliver, which is why when we first started this talk, I talked to you all about the importance of you speaking with integrity and with topics and problem solving that you really feel comfortable with. If you're able to over deliver, get testimonials, get referrals, your business feels really good. It feels like it's moving. It feels like it's almost fluid. It feels like you don't have to do a lot of work. But when you're speaking about topics that you're not really connected to and you don't have any integrity with, getting those testimonials and getting called back becomes harder and harder, right? So we want to make sure that we over deliver. And we have many trainings within S4P University where we teach you how to over deliver, how to show up, how to set up your pre and post talk rituals so that you show up confident and not nervous. And you also have a way to bring yourself down after a speaking engagement so that you're able to rest and restore yourself and do it over again, right? So we have strategies that we share around that, but over delivery really looks like meeting the goals of that organization. So when you go in and you submit a proposal, it's important that you include objectives and goals. And whatever those objectives and goals are that you commit to in that contract, you need to deliver. In fact, you need to over deliver because you're building a relationship. And what you're really building with that organization or with that person, because some of you are coaches and maybe consultants, it's trust. Trust that you're going to show up, you're going to over deliver, you're going to bring it in, you're going to bring it to the space, and they're going to feel good about that. And you're going to feel good about bringing you back. right? So it's important that we don't just speak about things that we're experts at because we want to get paid more, right? That's great. But we do it because we're building relationships and people are trusting us to come in and create change in spaces where they're not able to do it, right? So we want to have integrity within our businesses. Any questions thus far? If you have any questions, just feel free to put them in the comments. We are going to get to that point. I do have a few that are in my inbox that I want to answer, but I want to make sure that you all have time to put them into the comments as well. So I got this actually from Founders Magazine. So if you all like Founders Magazine, go check it out. They have a whole article about how to how to charge as a speaker, right? And I thought it was really cool. And this is kind of the breakdown that they had because I know that for some of you, what I'm speaking around capacity and that calculator, it might speak to you, but you might just want to know what's the nitty-gritty in the marketplace, right? And this is broad. This is for any speaker. So, based on experience, if you've done fewer than 3 talks, right? You should be charging anywhere between 500 to 2,500, right? And I see some love coming through. Thank you so much, Miss Jai. This information is so incredible. Thank you for all these tips so far. No problem. I'm here to serve and I'm happy to be here with you. I really appreciate it. So, if you've only spoken fewer than 3 times, right? Been paid to speak, not spoken, because I know all of you all are speaking at work and at home, and we all speaking, right? We all speaking in our lives. If you have not been paid yet, right? The price should be 500 to 2,500, right? And we just talked about that. I was telling you that. That's how much I usually start off with my charging with my clients, right? Now, once you've talked 3 to 8 times, right? Closer to 10, you're a proven expert. And what does it mean by being a proven expert? Other people say that you solved that problem, which is why I said that those testimonials are so important, right? Once we have those testimonials, other people saying, yes, yes, this person does a great job. This person actually showed up. This person participated. This person transformed my company. Once you have those fruitful testimonials, then you can charge anywhere between 5 to 10K per talk easily, right? And a lot of people think they got to be, Oprah or some really big entrepreneur or some celebrity to be able to charge this. No. Long as you have the social proof that you solve the problem and do the work, people are going to pay you and value you. Now, once you've moved from that and you've done, 8 to 12 talks, maybe you've talked for about a year, right? Let's say you do a speaking engagement once a month. Or maybe you are like some of my clients and you're speaking 2 to 3 times a month, so you can do that within a quarter or 6 months. Then you're like a micro influencer, right? Especially if you're using the S4P 531 framework, which allows you to build out your audience while building nurturing relationships with folks, right? So you're considered a micro influencer. People know you. You've got some testimonials. You've spoken at some agencies and organizations that have some big names. Many of our folks have spoken at like Indeed and Pinterest and some of the universities around the country. Once you have that fruitfulness, and maybe you have some type of either digital product, book, tip sheet, something that you're able to offer the community on a more regular basis. So you have a nice following. And what I mean by a nice following is anywhere between maybe 3 to 5,000 people following you. You got your email list going right. You're really feeling confident because this is about you. Your pricing is often about you. Yes, it's about them knowing that you're an expert and all that. But if you can't go in the room and stomach saying 10 to 20,000, then it ain't going to really work, even if that's written on your price sheet. You got to feel it and you got to want to say it, right? So once you've gotten to that point, then you can charge anywhere between 10 to 20 per talk, right? And that puts you in a really good place. Now, once you've done 12 talks, right? You are a social media influencer. Maybe you've got your own show. I work with some clients who go live every week at a particular time. They're building their own show. I work with a few other clients who are doing YouTube, right? Like you've got some great stuff. Maybe you've got a best-selling book or a best-selling product. People really know you as an expert in this field. That's when you can start to charge the 20 to 35,000, right? And I remember when I was working at higher education and at the UC system, bringing in Janet Mock, and Janet Mock was around that 20 to 30 range. I believe we paid her around 40,000 to come and speak for an hour. And she was at that point, right? She had a book that was best selling. When I think about it, she had spoken around the world. At that point, she had a TV show, right? We probably should have actually paid her more, to be honest with you. But this is a way that you can look at how you can price yourself, right? Another calculator to be able to build that confidence and put that together so that ultimately you get paid to speak. Public speaking and being paid to speak is nothing that's new. I think the thing is that many of us diverse leaders have never really seen it as value because we haven't known about it. So, I did a video recently, a reel where I talked about the average public speaker gets paid anywhere between 60, right, to $250,000. So you could be getting paid the same amount as a software engineer if you really put the time into your speaking business. And in order to grow your audience, right, I would say from this very novice, right, which is making around 2,500 to someone like Janet Mock and beyond that, it's just a few years, right? This is 3 to 5 years of you putting out amazing content, building amazing relationships, going on podcasts, literally using your voice to speak your message and deliver with the world and doing it consistently, and then people actually seeing you and seeing you as that influence. It does not take that long for you to be in that caliber, right? But it does take strategy, and it does take for you to be committed to speaking with integrity. Those are the foundations for that. So I want to get into some Q&A. I did get a few questions, but before we get into that, what I want you all to know is that if you want more information, right? You're like, this was great, Evolve. I really appreciated this training. This is something I want more of. Please just simply, oh, and I see this slide is a little bit messed up, so I'll read it to you. For more speaking tips and strategies, just text the word speak to 323-405-9492, right? You're going to simply text the word speak to 323-405-9492. And what that's going to do is get you put on my email list or my text message list, when I go live and I do trainings, you'll get access to that. We also have an opportunity for folks to be a part of our membership. We have different levels depending on where you're at financially and where you're at as a speaker. So we have an application process to be able to, decide what is the best place for you to start and for you to be. But we have a membership, right? And I want you to be able to be a part of that. And being on that gives you exclusive access to that information. So simply text the word speak and we'll send you over some information so that you can get started and get tips on a weekly, quarterly basis. So let's get into our Q&A, right? Because I'm always there for that. So what I'm going to do is actually stop sharing so that I can see the questions that I got from some amazing folks. And thank you to all the folks who sent me questions. I sent this out to my email list. And for folks who registered, I was like, what questions do you have? And people had some really good questions. So the first question is, it says, Evolve, my main curiosity is about experience. I think if you don't have a lot of speaking experience other than performing music and poetry and plays, which I suppose is kind of like experience, how do I determine what to charge? And that's such a great question. Thank you so much for Jay, who submitted that. What I will say is that you are speaking about music. You're speaking about poetry. I'm a poet myself. I was looking around for my book and I don't have it right available for me. But that's how I started my speaking business. I would go out with my poetry book, do poems, and get paid to do it. Right. So that's another lane that you can speak at. What problem was I solving when I was going out and sharing my poems? I was often solving the problem of them not having a diverse poet. I was often solving the problem of entertainment. People wanted entertainment, a way to connect, a way to build community if I was hosting writing workshops. So really get back to what we talked about in this training, Jay. How do you solve problems? And that can become your offer. Just because you've done it as a musician or as a poet does not mean that you can't charge for it or that it doesn't hold any value for anyone. It holds a lot of value for folks, and they want to be able to incorporate that into their businesses, and that will support them as they grow. So thank you so much for that question. I feel like that was like really one that sat with me because I know people come from different fields and might feel that their field don't, hold the same amount of value as others. Um, another question, and I think I have two more that I got. Let me see. Okay, this is a great question as well. And we talked a little bit about this during our time together. But the question is, what do I charge? Oh, how do I make sure that I'm not charging too much or too little, right? And what I want to say to you, Sarah, who sent in this question, Sarah, you really have to sit with your money back prophecy, right? And we talked about that in the training. How much money do you need on a monthly, yearly basis to thrive? And that's how you determine that. Now, there's some other things that you can do, right? And this is kind of like 2.0, and this is some of the stuff that we get into at S4P, but you can look at the organization's budget. You can, if you're going to speak at a conference or an event, you can look at their budget and see how much they allocate. You can ask past speakers or past people who have worked with the organizations how much they've been paid. One of the websites that I love, that I use when I'm looking at this as an employee, is Glassdoor. Right? Glassdoor will tell you how much people get paid at that organization for that title. And that's the way that you can do your speaking business as well. Ask other speakers or other people in the industry, how much do they charge? I know recently I was speaking to someone who does similar work to me, and he was telling me he doesn't charge anything lower than 10,000. And I was like, you know what? That's my new rate. That's going to be my new rate very soon, because when I looked at his experience and my experience, I was like, it's pretty much the same, right? So sometimes knowing the marketplace can help you a little bit with not undercharging or overcharging. And I hope that that answered your question, Sarah. The last question that I got was around, once you know your price, how do you negotiate, right? And what I want to say to that question is, negotiation should be more about collaboration. And what I mean by that is, in order for you to truly win a negotiation, you got to kind of meet one another, right? So the organization might not have the money, but maybe they have the access. The organization might not have the access, but maybe they have the money, right? And you have to find a space, which is why I always suggest that we ask for more, because if we ask for more, even if they need to come down, we are still taken care of. And the other thing around negotiation that I really want to stress to you all is the power of saying no. It's totally okay to say no when someone doesn't have your rate or they're not able to do it. I have said no to organizations because it didn't work out. They didn't have my rate, or the timing didn't work out. And they've come back to me later on and said, hey, we have your rate. We want to be able to pay you. We still want to be able to work with you. So, um, a quote that I love and that I live by is, a delay is not a denial, right? A delay is not a denial. So just because they say not right now or they don't have it doesn't mean that they're not going to find it sometime in the future. But what often happens is we lower our price. We go to speak for $1,000, $1,200, knowing that we need that 2,500, and then that organization expects us to come in and do that again and again, and we built resentment. And that's not what we want. So having integrity with your offer is important, but also having integrity with your own pricing. So think about negotiation more of a collaboration. Really put in front of yourself that a delay is not a denial, and don't be afraid to say no. I think those are some ways that I'll look at that. So I hope this was helpful for you all. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. We're going to keep this live probably for the next week, and then we're going to take it down, and it's actually going to be put up as a training in our exclusive community, the Wealthy Speaker and Consultant Society. So if you're interested in being a part of that community, it is a paid community. We're going to be launching it in June. When it launches, it will be about $25 a month for you to be able to join. You'll get access to these free trainings and tips. If you're interested in that, like I said, text the word speak to 323-405-9492. That's 323-405-9492, and that'll give you access, exclusive access to that membership program, the Wealthy Speaker and Consultant Society, which I think is going to be a really cool space for us to really support and in an accessible way, with group coaching and with, these amazing live trainings on how to build your business through strategy and through amazing workflows that allow you to rest, y'all, because that's what I want for you. So thank you so much for being here and for listening. Again, my name is Evolve Benton. I'm the Speaking for Profit coach. I don't see any other questions that have came through. Thank you all so much for the love. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And until next time, I hope that you all go secure some bags and have a great evening. Peace.